This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Tuesday, November 11th, 2025, Veterans Day. Coming up on America in the Morning, the Senate passes a bill to reopen the government, which has also strongly divided Democrats. Ed Donahue has details.
Lost time and money for travelers, economic chaos for air traffic controllers.
And that financial strain is becoming unbearable.
I'm Rich Johnson.
President Trump with demands of the BBC as he threatens legal action.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol.
I'm Clayton Neville.
The ripple effects for air travelers may last well beyond the end of the longest government shutdown in history. I'm Peter Schacknow.
The investigation continues after a homeowner in Whitestown, Indiana, shot and killed a house cleaner last Wednesday. I'm Jennifer King.
Cleveland Guardians pitchers Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz have been indicted on charges they took bribes. I'm Geffen Coolbaugh.
All ahead on America in the Morning. The Senate has passed a bill that will now head to the House in hopes of ending the longest government shutdown in history. As Ed Donahue reports, the bill does not include subsidies for the Affordable Care Act, angering Democrats in the House after 8 of their Senate counterparts caved to GOP demands. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries says the fight isn't over yet.
And we'll continue to wage this fight. No matter what comes over to us from the United States Senate to the House of Representatives at some point this week. Our position as House Democrats has been crystal clear. We will sit down with any Republicans, anytime, any place, anywhere, in order to find a bipartisan path forward, but we're not down with their my way or the highway approach to governance. That's failed the American people.
On this vote, the ayes are 60. The nays are 40. The bill, as amended, is passed. Under the previous order, the motion to reconsider is considered made and laid upon the table.
The deal cut by some Senate Democrats to reopen government has refueled the party's tussle over strategy and identity. 8 senators, 1 an independent, broke with Democrats and are facing blowback. Extending subsidies for health care offered under the Affordable Care Act are not guaranteed under the agreement.
This fight will and must continue. Democrats must fight because of millions of families will lose health care coverage. We must fight because children who are dying of cancer will not get health care coverage.
Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says the fight is not over.
Doing nothing is unacceptable, but that's the choice the Republican side made in obeisance to Donald Trump.
The president says he supports the agreement.
We'll be opening up our country very quickly.
He says there is a better idea.
We want a healthcare system where we pay the money to the people instead of the insurance companies. And I tell you, we're going to be working on that very hard over the next short period of time, where the people get the money. We're talking about trillions and trillions of dollars where the people get the money.
The legislation includes a reversal of the mass firings of federal workers by the Trump administration since the shutdown began. Ed Donahue, Washington.
Uncertainty is the overwhelming mindset for air travelers. Financial desperation is the story for traffic controllers who've gone more than 40 days without getting paid. And now, as Congress votes to reopen the government, the delays and cancellations across the U.S. are about to increase. Details from correspondent Rich Johnson.
For many travelers, it's about lost time and lost money.
By the time I got here, I missed my flight, so now I got to wait till 8 o'clock tonight.
It adds up. Like, the cost or flights like to change. It's ridiculously expensive, especially if airlines don't try to help.
Those travelers in Phoenix, courtesy of KPNX. For others, like this man in New York, it was cobbling together several flights to substitute for his canceled nonstop from Seattle.
I got to Denver, so from there we took another flight to Washington, D.C. From D.C., take the train down to the station, and from there I took the subway.
His tale courtesy of WABC. The website FlightAware counts about 3,000 canceled flights Monday, with many more to come today, as the 4% reduction mandated by the FAA kicks up to 6%, on its way to 10% by Friday. For controllers like Amy Lark in New York, it gets harder to cope with the demands of the job and the demands of the debts.
My husband and I are both air traffic controllers. Now having missed 2 paychecks, That uncertainty and that financial strain is becoming unbearable.
But no sympathy in the Oval Office. President Trump, posting on social media, demanded that all controllers who've called in sick return to work immediately. But Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says even when the government reopens, it'll take time to ramp up.
If the government opens on day one, will I see an immediate response from controllers? No, the union is telling me it's going to take time to get them all back in.
And you don't have to be in the U.S. to feel the effects of the flight reductions.
Our fingers are crossed that we will get to Brazil.
That woman was leaving Halifax, Nova Scotia for an international connection in Newark. But she and this woman told CTV, what will be, will be.
We're Canadians. We'll cope.
I'm Rich Johnson.
The top stories of the day are sponsored by Sleep Number. It's the Sleep Number Black Friday sale. Recharge this season with cozy, soothing comfort. Save on mattress and base bundles plus free premium delivery. Limited time only at Sleep Number or sleepnumber.com. Trump threatens to sue the BBC. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. This is America in the Morning. Arctic and chill. Two words you don't want to hear to describe the weather if you don't like cold. But here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
A good portion of the eastern United States will be under the Arctic chill this morning with freeze warnings all along the Gulf Coast and southeast Atlantic coastlines. This even includes portions of northern Florida. Cold weather advisories well into the central and southern parts of the peninsula. Temperatures this morning will be widespread in the 20s to near 30 with a few teens in some of the higher elevations in the Appalachians. This colder push will be exiting fairly quickly today as the storm system overall lifts off to the northeast. Still going to be cold during the day, and there will still be plenty of snow showers through the Great Lakes region into the northeast, with concentrated snow squalls also continuing near the lakes themselves. Additional snow today and tonight could surpass 6 inches. Highs will hold into the 30s for the eastern Great Lakes into Ohio and West Virginia, northward to New England, with low 40s near the coast. Where it will start warming today will be in the plain states from eastern Montana into the Dakotas, southward through Kansas into Missouri, Oklahoma, and Texas. Plenty of sunshine today with afternoon highs well into the 50s and 60s in the north and warming to the 80s in parts of West Texas. In some areas, this will be a 30-degree temperature change from yesterday. Across the west, it's going to be another dry day with a mixture of sun and clouds. High pressure holds over the regions. Highs will be close to their historical average with 50s and 60s in Washington, Oregon, and Idaho, and Nevada with 70s, 80s, and 90s farther south to California and Arizona. That's the weather across America. It's going to be a much warmer day in Dodge City, Kansas with sunshine and a high of 78. Columbus, Ohio is going to remain quite chilly today with plenty of clouds and a high of just 38. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
You can follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Simply search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. President Trump has asked the U.S. Supreme Court to throw out a jury's finding in a civil lawsuit that he allegedly sexually abused writer E. Jean Carroll at a Manhattan department store in the mid-1990s and later defamed her. Trump's lawyers argued in a filing with the High Court that allegations leading to the $5 million verdict were bolstered by what lawyers claimed as highly inflammatory propensity evidence against Trump. Carroll testified at a 2023 trial that Trump turned a friendly encounter in 1996 into a violent attack in the dressing room at the luxury Manhattan store Bergdorf Goodman. The jury also found Trump liable for defaming Carroll when he made comments in October 2022 denying her allegation, charges of which he continues to deny. Also, President Trump is threatening to sue the BBC over the way a speech he made was edited in a documentary aired by Britain's national broadcaster. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
A letter from attorneys for President Trump demands the BBC retracts what they call the false, defamatory, disparaging, and inflammatory statements in the documentary. They're asking for an apology from the broadcaster and that it appropriately compensate the president for harm caused, or else face legal action for $1 billion in damages. The letter surrounds a BBC documentary called Trump: A Second Chance. It was broadcast days before last year's U.S. election. The film appeared to splice together 3 quotes from 2 sections of Trump's speech in 2021 ahead of the January 6th Capitol riot. This is from the documentary.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you, and we fight. We fight like hell.
The actual live speech sounded like this.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
And roughly an hour later in the speech,
and we fight. We fight like hell.
The BBC chairman has apologized for what's being called an error of judgment. The fallout led to the resignation of 2 BBC top executives. I'm Clayton Neville.
The $1 trillion holiday season is upon us. Details when America in the Morning continues after these messages. The Business Report is sponsored by Gusto. Gusto's a simple online payroll and benefits tool built for small businesses. Learn more at gusto.com/radio. Here's CNBC's Peter Schack with Tuesday Business.
Thousands of flights have been canceled or delayed due to the government shutdown, and it's likely to get worse before it gets better, even after the shutdown ends. That's due to a myriad of personnel issues, both involving government workers like air traffic controllers, as well as airline employees. Sarah Nelson is international president of the Association of Flight Attendants.
There will be a hangover from this as we try to put the system back together. And this is what's always wrong with the shutdown. We say from the very beginning, we should never have a shutdown, because what you're doing is you're taking away all the people who support those frontline safety critical people. They are not there to support that work. So there is a real ripple effect here, and there will continue to be even as we head towards Thanksgiving.
Brian Kelly, founder of travel website The Points Guy, has this advice if you're determined to take that airline trip.
If you have to travel, just be proactive. There's a great app called Flighty, and Flighty actually pulls in air traffic control data. Often they'll alert you before the airline does. The airline email systems are overwhelmed. Your flight may be canceled, but don't assume the airline's going to even notify you, let alone rebook you.
Airline issues notwithstanding, the potential end of the shutdown helped spark a stock market rally in Monday's trading, and worries over frothy valuations may actually be a good thing, according to Barbara Reinhardt, Chief Investment Officer at Voya Asset Management.
I don't see big signs of speculation, big signs of investor excessiveness. So to us, I think that we can probably still continue to grind higher into the end of the year with continued strong earnings growth. Government reopening will give us some sense on the data. It looks like some of the labor market weakness that we were worried about seems to have been cut off with the better claims data. So I think we're probably out of the woods on this one.
Consumers have apparently maintained their holiday cheer despite the shutdown and economic worries. The National Retail Federation is predicting the first $1 trillion holiday shopping season this year, which, if achieved, would be a roughly 4% increase over a year ago.
NRF economists note recent economic data has been mixed, yet consumer spending remains solid, supported by wage growth outpacing inflation, historically low unemployment, and wealth effects from the strong stock market valuations.
That's CNBC senior economics reporter Steve Leisman. We'll be watching shares of Paramount Skydance in today's trading as the media giant issued an upbeat revenue forecast in its first earnings report since the $8.4 billion merger of Paramount Global and Skydance Media. On today's calendar, it's Veterans Day. The stock market will operate normally, but the bond market and many banks will be closed. The National Federation of Independent Business will be out with its monthly small business sentiment survey, and Boeing will report its October jet deliveries later this morning. They're expected to show that Boeing has successfully maintained an increased level of jet production.
Thank you, sir. CNBC's Peter Schack now. When we return on America in the Morning, the great Major League Baseball pitching scandal. After these messages. America in the Morning continues. No charges have been filed as of yet in the case of an Indiana house cleaner shot and killed after knocking on the wrong door. Correspondent Jennifer King reports.
The investigation continues after a homeowner in Whitestown, Indiana, shot and killed a house cleaner last Wednesday, Maria Florinda Rios Perez, when she came to the wrong address. Mauricio Velasquez told WRTV his wife was looking for the right key when a shot came through the door and she fell into his arms. Why didn't he call the police, Mauricio asked, if he thought we were suspicious? Instead, he went straight to kill. Velasquez is calling for justice for the 32-year-old mother, saying it's not right the homeowner was released after shooting his wife like she was a dog or a deer. Boone County prosecutor Kent Eastwood says he's reviewing all the evidence, but the case is complex because Indiana law allows deadly force to stop unlawful entry. Audio courtesy WRTV. I'm Jennifer King.
A pair of Major League pitchers have been indicted after allegedly rigging pitches for bettors. Both pitchers played for the same team. Here's correspondent Gethin Coolball with more.
Cleveland Guardians pitchers Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz have been indicted on charges they took bribes to give sports bettors advance notice of the types of pitches they'd throw and intentionally tossed balls instead of strikes to ensure successful bets. They have been on non-disciplinary paid leave since July while Major League Baseball investigated what it called unusually high in-game betting activity when they pitched. Ortiz was arrested Sunday by the FBI in Boston. His lawyer issued a statement that his client was innocent. Clase was not in immediate custody. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
America in the Morning for Tuesday, November 11th, 2025. Veterans Day is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour, the Senate passes a bill to reopen the government, and Speaker Mike Johnson has reaction.
President Trump meets with the leader of Syria in D.C. I'm Clayton Neville.
The Food and Drug Administration is removing a long-standing warning from hormone-based menopause drugs. Ed Donahue, Washington.
The Supreme Court has rejected an appeal aiming to overturn legalizing same-sex marriage. I'm Sue Aller.
Why has South Park gotten so political? I'm Kevin Carr.
An Army gynecologist facing charges. Bus crash in California. Karen Shamus takes a look at a recent White House meeting on rare earths. And Robert Workman has sports. Back after these messages. America in the Morning continues. Many people now along the eastern seaboard experiencing that Arctic blast today. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
The Arctic chill this morning is going to be widespread across a good portion of the eastern U.S. There are freeze warnings to start the day along the Gulf Coast and southeast Atlantic coastlines. This even includes portions of northern Florida, as temperatures this morning are going to be widespread in the 20s to near 30, with a few teens in some of the higher elevations in the Appalachians. The storm providing this colder air will be lifting out to the northeast today, and temperatures will moderate across the south a little, but it is still going to be quite cold farther north through the Great Lakes into the northeast, with snow showers in many areas and concentrated snow squalls near the lakes themselves. Additional snow today and tonight near the Great Lakes could surpass 6 inches, with highs holding in the 30s for the eastern Great Lakes into Ohio and West Virginia, northward to New England, and low 40s near the coast. Where we'll start warming today will be in the Plains states from eastern Montana into the Dakotas, southward through Kansas into Missouri, Oklahoma, and Texas. These areas will have plenty of sunshine today, with afternoon highs well into the 50s and 60s in the north and warming into the 80s in parts of West Texas. Some areas will be nearly 30 degrees warmer from yesterday. Across the west, it's going to be another dry day with a mixture of clouds and sun. High pressure holds over the region. Highs will be closer to their historical average with 50s and 60s in Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and Nevada, and 70s, 80s, and even a few 90s farther south through California into Arizona. Some clouds will build into the northwest tonight, and we'll have a few showers developing late, and this is a precursor of the next storm system to start to move in. That quieter stretch of weather in the west will come to a close later this week with a powerful storm arriving. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Simply search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. The Senate late Monday approved the bipartisan funding package that's expected to end the longest government shutdown in history and has sowed chaos across the nation after 8 Democrats sided with Republicans on a measure that bolsters SNAP, adds funding for the Departments of Veterans Affairs and Agriculture, but pushes into a separate debate the health insurance tax credits for the Affordable Care Act, known as Obamacare, a move that has angered most Democrats. The Senate bill now heads to the House, which is reconvening after being on vacation for nearly the past 2 months. And Speaker Mike Johnson says the chamber should begin taking up the measure as soon as tomorrow.
I will call all House members to return to Washington as quickly as possible. We'll give a 36-hour formal and official notice so that we can vote as soon as possible to pass the amended CR bill and get it to the president's desk. As you all know, and he said as recently as last night, I was with him, and he told the press, he said, we want to get the government open.
In exchange for the 8 Democrats in the Senate to vote with the GOP, the Republicans agreed to hold a vote in Congress by mid-December on extending health care tax credits that have been central to Democrats' demands. President Trump hosted his Syrian counterpart at the White House as the administration works toward continued peace in the Middle East following a recent ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
President Trump met with Syrian President Ahmad al-Sharaa in the Oval Office. He told reporters he wants good things for Syria.
We'll do everything we can to make Syria successful because that's part of the Middle East. We have peace now in the Middle East, first time that anyone can remember that ever happening.
Al-Sharaa is a former jihadist fighter who helped lead a rebel group against former President Bashar al-Assad and took power last year.
I think this leader can do it. And people said he's had a rough past. We've all had rough pasts. But he has had a rough past, and I think, frankly, if you didn't have a rough past, you wouldn't have a chance.
Al-Sharaa fought against the U.S. alongside al-Qaeda in the Iraq War. He was actually captured and then released by the U.S. military in 2007. He told Fox News in an interview that after the fall of the former regime, Syria entered a new era focused on building a relationship with the United States.
The reasons for the presence of the United States militarily in Syria needs to be with the coordination with the Syrian government right now. So we need to discuss these matters, and we need to talk about and get into an agreement about ISIS.
After the meeting, the U.S. lifted business-related sanctions against Syria. The U.S. Treasury Department says that the move will help Syria rebuild its economy and combat terrorism. Meanwhile, Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman is scheduled to visit the White House next week for an official working visit with President Trump. The meeting follows the president's trip to Saudi Arabia in May. I'm Clayton Neville.
Drugs used to treat menopause symptoms will no longer carry a bold warning label following a move by the Food and Drug Administration. Ed Donahue has details.
The Food and Drug Administration is removing a long-standing warning from hormone-based menopause drugs.
For more than 2 decades, the American medical establishment turned its back on women. Millions of women were told to fear the very therapy that could have given them strength, peace, and dignity through one of life's most difficult transitions, menopause. That ends today.
More than 20 pills, patches, and creams that treat symptoms like hot flashes have a warning label about stroke, heart attack, dementia, and other serious risks.
Millions of women were told to fear the very therapy that could have given them strength, peace, and dignity through one of life's most difficult transitions, menopause.
Kennedy says these labels are outdated and unnecessary.
It helps women sleep better, think more clearly, and live fuller, longer, and healthier lives. In short, it restores balance, not just hormonally, but emotionally and physically.
The change has been supported by some doctors who feel the warning scares off women who could benefit. Other doctors are worried the process that led to the decision was flawed, and independent advisors should consider any revisions.
When prescribed responsibly and started early, hormone replacement therapy transforms the lives of women. Hormone replacement therapy has been found to reduce the risks of cardiovascular disease and mortality by as much as 50%, Alzheimer's disease by 35%, bone fractures by 50 to 60%, as well as reducing cognitive decline and all-cause mortality. In other words, extending the lives for as much as 10 years.
Ed Donahue, Washington.
Army gynecologist doctor under investigation after scores of women claim sexual misconduct. That and more after these messages. There are concerns at Fort Hood in Texas after a lawsuit was filed that claims an Army gynecologist took secret intimate videos of a patient under his care. The lawsuit says that the woman's believed to be one of scores who were at the time under the care of Dr. Blaine McGraw, and that the Army leadership had allowed him to continue practicing despite receiving sexual misconduct complaints dating back years. NBC News is reporting that at least 25 women have been contacted by Army criminal investigators after they found photos and videos on McGraw's electronic devices showing female body parts. McGraw has been suspended and is under investigation by the Army Criminal Investigation Division. The U.S. Supreme Court has declined to hear a case that could have overturned its landmark decision that legalized same-sex marriage nationwide. Sue Aller has details.
On Monday, the Supreme Court let stand its 2015 decision legalizing same-sex marriage nationwide by declining to hear an appeal, leaving the Obergefell versus Hodges ruling intact. The appeal came from Kim Davis, a former Kentucky County clerk who made headlines for refusing to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples based on her religious beliefs. Backed by the conservative legal group Liberty Counsel, Davis faced lawsuits from several couples and was briefly jailed for defying a court order to issue the licenses. Davis argued that her actions were protected by the First Amendment, but lower courts disagreed. Jim Obergefell told NBC News that he never imagined he would still be fighting a decade after marrying his now-deceased husband, John Arthur.
People stop me still and hug me. Often they start crying and they talk about what this decision, what marriage equality means to them personally or for someone they love.
He also expressed concern that if Roe versus Wade could be overturned, so could marriage equality.
With the proverbial stroke of a pen on that decision, that right was taken away. We have to learn from that.
Despite the court's 6-3 conservative majority, only one justice has publicly hinted at revisiting the decision, and none of the others joined him.
Clarence Thomas specifically called out Obergefell. We should not feel safe.
For now, same-sex marriage remains legal throughout the United States. I'm Sue Aller.
A bus crash in the Southern California mountains carrying a church group has injured 24 people, correspondent Jennifer King reports.
Authorities say 20 people were hospitalized, 3 with major injuries after a bus toppled over coming back from a church retreat at Camp Nawakwa in Southern California's San Bernardino Mountains. Fire officials say the bus crashed on a winding 2-lane road northeast of Los Angeles. First responders found the bus on its side and passengers escaping through a hatch in the roof. Community college student Cynthia Ramirez says the bus started to shake and swerve, then rock side to side before it fell over. Youth leader Priscilla Mendoza says she woke up to everybody screaming, blacked out after the crash, and doesn't remember how she got out of the bus. The retreat was organized for Our Lady of Guadalupe Catholic Church in Santa Ana. Father Jose Felix Troncoso says a half-dozen patients were treated for fractures and at least 1 head injury. I'm Jennifer King.
In Germany, there's heightened security for the opening of a trial for a doctor from Saudi Arabia accused of a deadly car ramming attack at a Christmas market in a small town west of Berlin last year. Correspondent Naum Kim reports.
A trial has opened in Germany for a Saudi doctor accused of killing 6 people in a car ramming attack on a Christmas market last year. 51-year-old Talib Abdul-Mohsen was brought by helicopter to a temporary courtroom in Magdeburg, specially set up for the trial, and sat behind a bulletproof screen. A spokesperson for the court said the defendant could face a life prison sentence if convicted. 5 women and a boy died and many more injured in the attack that lasted just over a minute. There are no formal pleas in the German legal system, but the defendant told the court he planned to respond to the charges, quote, for hours, perhaps even for days. Al Abdul-Mohsen arrived in Germany in 2006 and had received permanent residency. Nearly 50 hearing days have been scheduled through March 2026 with heightened security in place. I'm Nayan Kim.
Part of President Trump's America First agenda is rare earths, which was an important facet of the recent meeting the president had in Asia with Chinese leader Xi Jinping. As Karen Shamas reports, the president recently hosted the heads of a number of nations that have rare earth deposits, critical minerals for high-tech manufacturing needed in the United States.
President Donald Trump hosted leaders of 5 Central Asian countries, including Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, at the White House as he intensifies his hunt for rare earth metals needed for the production of high-tech devices. The White House visits come after Trump and Chinese leader Xi Jinping experienced friction over the export of rare earth elements in their trade negotiations. Relations between China and the US have since thawed, but the US is searching for new sources of the rare metals in an effort to circumvent China. Following talks at the Oval Office, the president hosted a dinner for the Central Asian leaders, at which he spoke of how these nations hold strategic importance for the US.
And I'm committed to making America's partnership with each of these countries stronger than ever before.
China accounts for nearly 70% of the world's rare earth mining and controls roughly 90% of global rare earths processing. I'm Karen Shamas.
America in the Morning continues, and a check of sports. Here's our Robert Workman.
NFL Week 10 wrapped up last night as the Eagles held off the Packers 10-7. The game was scoreless deep into the second half, a Jake Elliott field goal finally breaking the ice for Philadelphia midway through the third quarter. Then early in the fourth, a lightning strike. Saquon Barkley took a short pass from Jalen Hurts, put on a spin move, and bolted 41 yards across midfield. Then on the next play, without a huddle, Hurts hit Devontae Smith for a 36-yard touchdown and a 10-0 lead. The Pack came right back with a 75-yard drive, capped by a Josh Jacobs 6-yard scoring run, but were stopped on 2 late possessions. Back-to-back losses have dropped Green Bay from first place in the NFC to third in the NFC North, while 3 wins in a row now have the Super Bowl champion Eagles back on top in the conference. At the other end of the NFC standings, the Giants fired head coach Brian Daboll after a 2-8 start and just 20 wins in 61 games over 3+ seasons. Baseball's major awards week is underway. Rookies of the Year announced last night. A's slugger Nick Kurtz, the unanimous choice in the American League. The first baseman hit 36 homers, 4 of them in one game against the Astros in July. He's just the 20th player to do that all time. In the National League, it was Braves catcher Drake Baldwin taking the honors. He hit .274 in 124 games. A lot of close games in the NBA on Monday. 2 of them went overtime. The Pistons rallied past the Wizards 137-135, 46 points and a triple-double for Cade Cunningham. Coach J.B. Bickerstaff.
Down 13 in the fourth quarter, we had plenty of times where we could have given it up and just got ready for Wednesday, but that's not this group.
That's 7 straight wins for East leading Detroit, while Washington has lost 9 in a row and are toes up at 1-10. Andrew Wiggins' alley-oop dunk at the OT buzzer gave the Heat a 140-138 win over the Cavaliers. Magic doused the Blazers 115-112 on a Desmond Bane 3-ball at the Horn. Spurs got 38 from Victor Wembanyama as they squeezed past the Bulls. Lakers licked the Hornets 38 for Luka Doncic, and the Suns scorched the Pelicans. Grayson Allen with 42 points and a franchise record 10 3-pointers for Phoenix. That's Tuesday Sports.
When we return on America in the Morning, television's South Park defends their attacks on the White House after these messages. Television's South Park's creators, who have focused heavily on the White House as of late, say they have good reason for becoming political. Entertainment reporter Kevin Carr has that story.
South Park has never shied away from politics, but it's never been an overtly political show either. So why are they hammering politics so hard now? Series creators Trey Parker and Matt Stone spoke to the New York Times this week and offered an explanation. Parker told the Times they didn't suddenly get political. Instead, quote, politics became pop culture. The series has built a reputation for ridiculing both sides. For example, 10 years ago, PC Principal was introduced to poke fun at political correctness.
All right, listen up. My name is PC Principal. I don't know about you, but frankly, I'm sick and tired of how minority groups are marginalized in today's society.
Stone points out that they have always looked for taboos to skewer, and the latest one now is the president himself.
What are you, some kind of dictator from the Middle East?
A dictator from the Middle East? Relax, guys.
What was meant to be a one-off joke in this season 27 premiere to show their independence has become a string of recurring gags. Most recently, South Park featured the demolition of the east wing of the White House, paving the way for a ballroom.
I thought we were knocking the east wing down to make room for the nursery.
What?
Though it's not just Trump. The show's quick production schedule allows references to topical stories like the government shutdown.
I've tried to find work, but there's just not a lot out there. And with the government shutdown, I can't get my job back with the USGS.
It even turns the barbs on itself.
How many weeks has it been now, dealing with one stupid thing after another?
I'm Kevin Carr.
A retired Hockey Hall of Famer is working to educate others about heart disease that ended his playing career. Correspondent Gethin Coolball reports.
Henrik Lundqvist made 23,509 saves during his Hall of Fame professional hockey career. Now the longtime New York Rangers goaltender is lending a helping hand to others with a medical condition that has affected him personally.
RP had a massive effect on my career. In the end, it forced me to retire.
Lundqvist was diagnosed with recurrent pericarditis 7 weeks after undergoing open heart surgery in 2020.
One day, I just felt massive pain in my chest. I didn't know what it was.
Dr. Jonathan Salick founded the Massachusetts General Hospital Cardiology Division's pericardital disease program in 2022.
Patients like Henrik, who are such high-performing athletes, they may not really experience this as something wrong with their heart.
Lundqvist is part of an educational campaign called Life Disrupted.
This is a great opportunity for me to try to help others that go through a similar situation. Athlete or no athlete, doesn't matter, because it will affect your everyday life.
I'm Gethin Coolball.
Today is Veterans Day, always held November 11th to honor all those who have served in the United States Armed Forces. It is different from Memorial Day, which honors those who have died in service and is celebrated to thank both living and deceased veterans for their service, sacrifice, and patriotism. The holiday originated in 1919 as Armistice Day, which commemorated the end of World War I at the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, before its name was officially changed in 1954 to include all U.S. veterans. As we thank veterans for their service, that's our show for today, Tuesday, November 11th, 2025. America in the Morning is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.